Good afternoon, guys. Usually this is a morning session, but today we are with someone in a bit of a different time zone. So we're here with Mateo, who is a creative director of Beautiful Distortion Studios. Can I just tell you, I do love that name, Mateo. I think it
Thank
very
you.
much, yeah,
That's
speaks for
awesome. Thank
itself.
you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. So, guys, welcome to Out of the Fog, the Trauma Network, produced by myself here at KR Country Coaching. Um, Obviously, as we usually do, um, relating to all things trauma, going through tough times. I know that some sessions can be a bit more sensitive than others, but if any of this today relates to you and you find yourself going through a bit of a tough time in whatever it is that you might be facing, here in Australia, we have the Lifeline, which is 1311 14, Beyond Blue, which is 300 224 636, and Men's Line, because I know that today we're probably going to delve into a bit of mental health as well, with being men's mental health, Mateo, 1300 Also, I was speaking to one of my friends in America, and I've been meaning to read this out every time that I come on. So she has said that there is a crisis text line in America, suicide hotline, which is now only 3 digits, 988. So for those people in America, you just basically text through to that number. Is that
That
right, Ms. Miller?
that
Yeah.
is correct. And not only that, I do believe that there is, excuse me, I think that there is a trans and LGBTQIA crisis hotline as well.
Okay.
In and I'm trying to remember what that number is.
Um,
Um,
shall
but
we?
and it just went live.
Okay. Oh,
And
fantastic.
so it's not really well known right now in America, but there is a very large support group that just went live nationwide.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to
Okay.
think what it is. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, Matteo, what we can do, if you're unable to find it, perhaps when we finish the live, like I always ask all the guests to always put their contact details below. If anyone wants to get in touch or if anyone's interested in what you do. And so perhaps that could also be a way for people to reach out. And I mean, if it's something that's also just come live, that would be fantastic for people to know about.
Absolutely. I did just find it. So the
Oh,
National Support and Crisis Line for US is 877-565-8860.
wonderful. Thank you
But
so much.
there is a 3 digit number, and I can't find it, but I will.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
oh.
would be great.
n- Well, there's one more, so that is the oh, that's only in Utah where I'm at. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yes,
Everyone,
yeah, yeah.
hi.
Which is
But
great. Anyway, you
yeah,
feel free to put that one out anyway, just in case.
absolutely. I will actually keep looking for that. It's very good to meet you.
It's so good to have you. Thank you for taking the time. Like, I know that there has been so much going on, but I am not going to tell your story. You're going to tell your story, which is
Oh
so
man.
amazing. Um,
It's a lot. It's
that's true.
quite the
Well,
story.
I always say if you want to come back on as well, throughout the year, then you definitely have that opportunity to do as well. We have a few that'll come back on to discuss different things because sometimes we go really deep in these conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's amazing. So introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about you, Mateo.
Oh goodness. Okay. So my name is Mateo Coletti. I am kind of born and raised in the Utah area. And I've lived all over the United States and Mexico and Hawaii and a little bit in Canada. Um, I I grew up with professional opera singers as parents,
Wow.
and so which was really kind of interesting, because every single day, every morning, I would wake up to um, going on upstairs with my mom playing the piano, teaching vocal students, and yeah, so music was a major part of my life.
Yeah.
I I've been classically trained musician, vocalist, and pianist since I was 3 years old. Um, and got full ride scholarships for vocal performance and for scoring and orchestration. Uh, and have been basically a musician and a producer my whole life. But I kind of got out of performing,
Mm.
because I was more interested in in this stuff behind me,
Yeah.
recording and producing, and so that's actually what I went into. I ended up going to a very specified, specific college, university called Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida, where I got my degree in recording and engineering. And ever since then, I just worked at studio after studio after studio, world class studios all over the United States, all across North America. I think one day I sat down and counted how many studios, and there was, I think, upwards of like 38 different studios that I've worked
Yeah.
in. But it's been a wonderful, wonderful journey with a lot of up and downs.
Mm.
And it's been fun. When I was 15 years old, and this is where some of the big trauma started. So when I was 15 years old, I was going to a musical cast party after everything was, the last performance of the night, or last performance of the musical,
Yeah.
and everybody, the whole cast went over to a friend's house to just, celebrate. It was a cast party, and it was there that I started jumping on a trampoline with some of my friends. This is the first time that I jumped on a trampoline that was dug into the ground. So I don't know if you've seen those before.
Yes, yes, I have.
You
Yes,
have the
and they have the netting on top, and it can go pretty deep too. Like you got cement usually underneath, don't you?
this one was just it was just dirt underneath, but it was
Right.
flat. You could walk right off the trampoline right onto the
Yeah.
grass.
Yeah.
But this is the very first trampoline that I had jumped on that actually was dug into the ground. And I was also, a fairly good gymnast at the time. Very, very athletic. I was on first string football, basketball, baseball, soccer, everything. And so I had a trampoline at home, and I could do all of these amazing tricks. And I'm like, oh, trampoline, yay! And this is when I'm 15. I'm still in high school,
Yeah.
and so I try to do my tricks on this trampoline, but you have to understand, like, there's a 4 foot difference.
Mm.
I'm used to something.
Mm.
I'm used to being able to see, the grass and everything where it's at. So I'm right in the middle of one of my tricks. It was a back flip, double front flip, and
Sounds
I'm in the middle of my double front flip.
dangerous.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I actually was looking while I'm flipping. I'm looking at the grass, and I'm like, well, something's weird. I'm not going to land this. It was so off.
Mm.
And so I over rotated and just came straight down right on my head, straight up and down. And the trampoline rebounded
Oh
and
my
just
God.
compacted and shattered. My neck is a combustion fracture, and four of my vertebrae shattered, like blew up in my neck.
Oh my.
Come to find out, in surgery number 2 or 3, my neurosurgeon had found slivers of bone fragments, I mean, in my stomach, even, that I had swallowed, and all throughout my neck, they were pulling out bone fragments. But after I landed, uh, I I I I was like this. My shoulders just squoze together and held my neck in place, and I turned to a friend and I'm like, "There's something wrong. I think I broke my neck." And they're laughing at me. Ah ha ha ha! That's so hilarious, Mateo. You know, it's. I'm
They
like,
all
no, I
think
think
it's
there's
part of the
something.
performance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think there's
yeah.
something really wrong. Um, so I get up. My whole body is numb from my neck down at this point,
Oh my God.
and I got up, and I'm still my shoulders are still shrugged, holding my neck in place, and um, I get up and I start walking because my parents are also at this cast party. They were my dad was the director of the musical, and I start walking towards the house where they are at, and I find them, and I walk in to the room and I look at my mom in the face, and I'm like, there's something wrong. And I've had many broken bones since that, before then, many. And when I say to her, there's something wrong with this look in my face, she knew.
She
She was
knows.
my
Yeah.
mom. And she's
Mm.
like, oh no. And she grabs my dad, and we start walking towards the car. And one of my friends comes running up behind me and does a leapfrog over me, hands on shoulders, and
Oh,
jumps over me. And immediately, boom, I
the
just I
agony.
drop to the ground, completely 100% paralyzed.
I love your kitty cat in the background there too, coming and
she
joining on this conversation.
she loves the heat of my studio. So we might have a kitty that's gonna
That
hang out with us.
that's fine. My little one might also join us in a little while too. Um,
So
sorry,
that
yeah,
one's
carry
Pinky.
on.
I've got Pinky and Red, and they're little, they're they're sisters. They were born on our windowsill, and their mother ran away. So
Oh,
we raised
really?
them from birth, day one,
Beautiful. Yeah,
and yeah, they've been our little babies.
yeah.
But yeah, I I dropped to the ground and I was quadriplegic, and my parents didn't. My dad basically pulled me into the car.
So sorry. So was it that? So obviously this has happened. I think it's that autonomic bodily response, right? Trying to protect your neck. But obviously that leapfrog has that basically like done the final blow, basically.
Yeah, it did.
Wow.
And come to find out later what actually happened, because nobody could find out. My neurosurgeon, the other surgeons, all of the specialists, they couldn't find out why I was paralyzed still. My spinal cord is intact.
Yeah.
My bone fragments were just shot, just all over my neck, and they were trying to figure out how to rebuild my neck. And so I was in the halo for a while. I had like
Mm.
7 or 8 surgeries to try to figure out how to fix it,
Oh my
but
God.
nobody figured it out until I think the 7th surgery, where my amazing, she has since passed, but Dr. Candace Carlton, and
Mm.
thank you, uh, she went in, and found a little tiny sliver bone fragment that didn't show up on any CAT scan, any MRI, any X-ray, and it was just puncturing my spinal cord. And she
Wow.
extracted that out, and 2 or 3 days later, my crumpled hands, I started moving my thumb,
Oh,
and it took about it was an incredible, arduous 6 months before I could really kind of start to stand up, and it took about a year for me to really be able to move again fully. So I went through full paralyzation for a while, and that was really, really hard. It was through high school. Um,
Yeah,
I,
I,
I
well,
I
I
didn't
was
get
just,
a I didn't get to finish that year in high school. I had to make up a bunch of work. And it's really crazy because all my good friends came and brought texts and schoolwork and stuff and helped me finish that grade while I was in the hospital. Just a wonderful support team. I absolutely loved that. But it was really hard. You learn a lot when you're paralyzed. One of the biggest things that I learned is patience,
yeah.
um, humility. Your ego just goes out the door.
Mm,
And we all know that ego, well, hopefully we all know ego is one of the things that really holds us back from progression in life.
right. Yeah.
And it was at that time that and like I said, I was a star athlete. I had broken all state records. I had done, I was gonna, I was, I had college draft people talking to me in high school, to become a big sports star. I
Mhm.
probably would have been in the NFL or NBA or something. I don't know, but that never happened. And actually, I'm actually really glad that it didn't, because I
Yeah.
would have gone that direction if I didn't break my neck.
And your
Um,
life would have been so different to now.
Completely different,
Yeah.
like 100% different. Um, and so instead of going down the sports route, I ended up going down the music route and audio route, and started to work with musicians and got my degree and everything. But that was one of my first really big injuries. Oh my goodness. And it took 20 years. I'm still recovering from that.
I
It,
was going to ask you if it's something, because obviously that's huge.
yeah, I was chronic pain for at least 15 solid years, where it was difficult to do almost anything.
Hmm.
Um, and I was constantly on pain pills, and any doctor I asked would just throw them at anything I asked
Yes.
for, because
Yes.
it was such an incredibly insane injury. In fact, this is almost the exact same injury that no, excuse me. It was the exact same combustion fracture in C5, 6, 7, and T1, that Christopher Reeves went through, Superman. The
Wow.
original Superman, Christopher Reeves, who died from this injury.
Yeah.
And somehow I was able to come out of it. And this is why I'm saying thank you, Dr. Candace
Yeah.
Carlton. She was a lifesaver at that point, obviously.
Yeah,
But
100%. But I do agree with you, because it's funny how, doing this work and listening to stories and having my own story, life experiences, people come into your life that at the time you have no idea the change that they're going to bring you.
right, yeah,
It's like that hindsight, that 2020, and you go, oh, fuck, if it was not for this person, or if it wasn't for how they appeared or what they came to do, my life would be different once again.
I believe very strongly that
Mm,
every single person that you meet in this life, even if it's for 30 seconds or if it's for 30 years, they're
yeah,
supposed to be there for a reason.
yeah.
There are no coincidences in the people that you meet. And I had a really amazing counselor tell me this piece of advice that I don't think I'll ever forget. And they said, uh, thank you, Bill Fulmer, who has also passed. He said, when you do meet these people, everybody, but they have something to teach you. It
Mm,
doesn't matter what it is, but it is your job to find out what it is. It is your job to understand the impact that they're supposed to have on your life.
mhm.
And so I had always, with everybody that I'd met, I had always tried to find that amazing part in them, what they're trying to teach me, whether
Yeah.
they know they're trying to teach me something or not.
Hmm.
And it's how I've continued to learn and grow, and honestly to help keep that. um I think humility or patience or uh ego in check.
Mm.
And it's allowed me to just be, I'm just so, everything's cool,
Yeah.
everybody's, I have a hard time being a mean person,
Mm.
and it's because I know everybody's going through their own
That's
trauma.
yeah.
They are. And we,
Everyone's going through something that we might not know at the time.
exactly, sometimes
Yeah.
it takes half your life before you figure that out.
Yes. And it's speaking to you, it's funny that you're saying this because when you speaking to you, you can tell that you have had something life changing. Now, I mean, obviously, I already kind of knew that because you're coming onto this show. But by this, what I mean is when you've had enough experience with other people and with your own really tough times, and when you speak about humility, Mateo, because it makes you, something happens and you appreciate life and you see life through a different lens. And I don't think that I mean, you might have been. I don't know. I can't speak to that because we don't know, right? But per se, that your life had gone in that different trajectory. I wonder if you would have been as humble as you are now today.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah,
Honestly, I really think that I would have been a completely different person,
yeah, yeah.
because my ego was being fed constantly
Hmm.
before I broke my neck. And then, after I gained back my movement and I could walk, and then actually, and then figure out how to run, after being a quadriplegic, I was like, oh, this is wonderful. And I tried to try out for all of the teams again. And I was cut every single time I couldn't play sports. My perfect fluid movement that made me such a good athlete was all of the sudden clunky, and I had no fluidity anymore. I still
Yeah,
can't really play sports. I'm just, I can, well, and then my recent accident, which has made everything almost impossible now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
We're definitely going to get to that. What I would definitely like to delve into here with you is I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, okay, so this accident happens probably at the prime of your youth when you have so much going on. This is the time when, let's be honest, you're a teenager, you're now starting into the dating scene, you're finding yourself, the parties, the living, all that sort of stuff, opportunities like you're talking about. So you're now someone who has suffered this. um, you have come from a family, obviously, that is hardworking and has their passions, and your life now has been turned into a complete different trajectory. Pain relief. I have been addicted to pain relief, and I've been addicted to other narcotics because of subscriptions. So I also know the road that leads you down. How are you coping at this stage of your life?
at
Friendship,
this,
all that. Yeah.
oh, at that time, or
Yes.
or now. So at that time, it was really hard because it seemed that there was a big chunk of friends that really kind of dropped. My,
Mhm.
my girlfriend at the time was, a cheerleading captain. Um, Typical story. Uh, I was, football star,
Yeah.
homecoming king. My girlfriend was cheerleader captain and everything. She quit. She quit being a captain, dropped everything, almost dropped out of school just to come and be by my bedside and help me with everything that she could.
Yeah.
I was also on a competition, national competition ballroom team, dance team, and a lot of my uh, uh, fellow dancers, they came and were there for me, um, all the time.
Mm.
But then there's a big group of people that that also that were completely opposite. Big group of friends that just wrote me off like I didn't exist. And I was no longer in sports, and I was no longer popular, and it was weird because when I finally started to come back to school, a lot of these kids, I mean, I would get made fun of. I had to wear a neck brace, full hard collar neck brace,
I can
and
imagine how that must
it
have been
it
at
was
that
weird.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't really exactly know how to go through all of that.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, getting back to school was um yeah, that was hard. I kind of stopped liking school as much. Ow. Oh, and excuse me, you're probably gonna hear a lot of ows, and
That's absolutely
um
you do you. Yeah, that's okay.
I'll grimace and wince a bit, just
Yeah,
letting you guys know.
that's all
Um,
right.
but uh, but yeah, I was really happy when I was graduating high school, because I was ready to get out of that small confined box of mentality, and see the world,
Mm-hmm.
and see what else there is, what other open-minded people I can find,
Yes.
because I this was in a very small city in Idaho where this happened. And the small city is actually very specifically of the Mormon religion, and I really was not. My whole family was, but I was not in that mindset. I needed more, and so I couldn't wait to expand that small city
Mm.
horizon into the bigger world, to see what other minds, people, cultures are out there. And
Yeah.
that helped me. I do believe that helped me cope and mentally heal a lot more,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
finding people from outside of the area and then leaving the area, because they say travel is one of the better healers, and helps you become a greater humanitarian, understanding other cultures, understanding other thought processes,
Mm.
and mindsets. It allows you to just be more accepting of everything,
Yeah.
and it's helped out a lot. And back then, that's what I needed after high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I also like listening to you. I'm also thinking to myself, you must have had an inbuilt type of resilience to, because you, even though you've gone through all of this, you still continue to have hope. You know, even when you're talking about still expanding your point of view, a lot of people, you know, when they're stuck in these places, your hope kind of diminishes, you know. So I'm really wondering, if was that also because you had a lot of support around you, perhaps? And they do say that a lot of the time, that resilience that we have in our character is usually something that's quite naturalistic, and then we have a choice to kind of develop on it, etc. And some people don't quite have that. It's about learning those skills. um, but I find that very, very fascinating.
I'm not sure. Yeah, okay. I do believe that I did have support.
Mm.
Um, but I don't believe from the community of people that were supportive before that accident. I didn't really have that same kind of support after.
Mm.
It was a very interesting. I found other people that could understand more,
Mm.
and it was some of my main, I guess you could say, life mentors, um, came afterwards, and one of them was uh, uh, his name was Larry Flynn, um, excuse me, Larry Finn, um, who is also deceased. But he kind of guided me through. He's this guy. Wow. Now I'm just starting to remember. I ended up starting playing. I started to play music at this restaurant. Um, and I'm a composer. I compose on demand. I can just sit down at a piano and just compose a symphony if you want, or a rock song, or horror music. I can just do it. In fact, one of the things that I love doing is having my friends. I I ask them, um, paint a picture for me and let me play that picture.
Yeah.
And then and while I'm playing, then I ask them to change that picture, change the scene of that picture, and then I compose to what they're saying. It so I wanted to actually play, and so I found this restaurant in town and asked them, can I just play some music at your restaurant? Yeah, sure, absolutely. And after a while of doing that, I would just play for tips. But the owner of the restaurant, came to really like me, and he became like my best friend
Yeah.
ever. Like he At this time, I think I'm what, about 16 and a half, 17 years old, and he became my mentor. He was the one that actually taught me, etiquette, how to be a gentleman, how to speak correctly, how to hold myself properly, how to have, culture. He taught me culture. He taught me, um, architecture, how to appreciate art, how to appreciate different things. And it was just so wonderful to have him in my life. And in fact, he then gave me a job at this restaurant. And then eventually I became the manager of the restaurant. And we traveled all over the country to just
Wow.
check out different restaurants for ideas for our restaurant. And just in doing so, I, I, I just learned to love that travel and learned to love the culture and being cultured, or finding that culture.
Yeah.
Um, and it was then, so I'm thinking 17, 18, 19, I started to gain this group of people that gave me that support. When you talk about the resiliency, for some reason I've always had that ever
Yeah.
since I was a kid.
Yeah.
It is born in me, and I'm just kind of one of those guys that you can just never get down. you
Yeah.
I It's hard to ever, you'll never see me depressed, even when
I can
literally the
tell listening to
everything
tell your
just,
story. Yeah.
yeah. So I think the universe is trying to teach me how, like, what depression really is, by just hitting me
Mhm.
hard and just hitting me. I'm like, come
Good
on,
way to
let's
see it.
go.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I somehow I survive all of that. But yeah, it wasn't until recently that I actually found my my anger. And that is something with my latest accident that I had. And that's something that I right now in my life, I'm having a hard time getting over that.
Okay.
Um,
Tell me more about that, Mateo. Yeah.
so that one's kind of a interesting one to unpack, because every single person that has heard this story, it doesn't seem realistic. It doesn't seem like it even could happen.
Mhm.
And I hope my wife isn't gonna kill me for this, but holy crap, this is interesting. So I'll just put it in a nutshell. I had been My wife and I've been married for, oh, she's gonna hate me. I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years. I don't know, but I've been living with her for
Life
about
is
9.
so that if whoever else is listening, this can potentially, help someone else. So Please take that into
True.
consideration when
Okay.
thinking about potentially killing Mateo. Okay.
True.
Yeah. No, but
So
respectfully, yeah, continue. Sorry.
no, you're totally fine. Well, maybe I should back up just a little bit, and because it does have a lot to do with. So I've been married 3 times. I am on my 3rd marriage, and I'll be honest, I've never been happier. I didn't know what finding your soulmate meant until I met my wife,
And
and
you never do until it clicks. No, truly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just. And so with my first wife, I had 2 children,
yeah.
2 amazing girls, and that's another story, because when my oldest daughter was 3 and my middle daughter is barely a year. Let's see, no, about two and a half and about a year. I was building my first studio, and really long story short, she just one day woke me up, and I had just finished mixing an album, and we had a really strict deadline to get it off to the duplicators at a very specific time so that we could get the CDs printed and back in time for the CD release party. So we were all working 24 hours on finishing the mix of this album. And in fact, I think that I was up for 40 something hours before I finally went to sleep. And yay, the album's done. We sent it off to the duplicators. Yay, it's wonderful. And I go to sleep. And I wake up with my wife shaking me, and and I'm like, oh, okay, what? Yeah, hey, hi, what's going on? I bought plane tickets for me and the 2 girls, and they're leaving in an hour. I'm taking the girls and leaving you. Bye. And I'm like, wait, I'm just waking up. What? Wait, what's going on? Yeah, I'm leaving you. And she did. Grabbed my daughters and jumped on a plane and left. And I out of the come to find out, she wanted me to chase her back to her parents' house in Oklahoma. But stealing my children from me doesn't really make me want to run after this person. Plus, she was blackmailing me to become a part of this very cult-esque religion, which I did not want to be a part of either. So that's an entire other story. And then like her parents were very, very filthy rich, and so within a day, there's a huge semi truck with about 10 people that came to our house and literally took every single piece of furniture, dismantled my studio, and sold my house, and dissolved my business out from under me.
So it was life-changing in a matter of hours, basically.
Yeah, my entire life. House was gone. She even took my dogs, excuse me. One was a puppy, and sold my house. Yeah, I jumped in my car and drove for, I think, 2 months aimlessly, with nowhere to go. Just drove. I don't even remember where I drove. I drove across the country. Just ever so often, I'd grab a hotel until the money was gone, and then I came back and got like a super tiny ass apartment, so small, basement apartment, so small that it is I don't remember, it was 68 and a half. That's how small, like it was a half.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was, yeah. But that was a situation. So that was hard. That took me a long time to forgive. And I'm still trying to redevelop my relationship with my children because of that. They lost and they lost the ability to have a father figure in their life. In fact, she did get remarried, and I did find out a few years ago that that this new father figure in their life had been sexually abusing both my children.
I was wondering if you were going to go there because
Yeah,
I hear of this so often.
yeah, and
So
so
I'm so
they have
sorry.
a
Yeah.
hard time trusting men,
Mm,
and so it's really it's difficult to inch
yeah.
my way into their life as their father that tried to be there the whole time. But my ex-wife, she wouldn't give them any of my presents, my letters, she wouldn't let me talk to them on the phone. I was blacklisted from my daughter's life for both. And I mean, they're both past 18 now, and we do talk every once in a while, but it's very, very difficult um, because in their mind, father figures rape them.
Mm,
And I'm not that type. I'm a good dad. I'm one of those good guys. I'm like, hey, girls, like, give me a chance, please. And that's just something that we're still working on.
mm,
Um, but then I did get I ended up moving to Mexico just to find myself again and stuff. Moved back and ended up finding my second wife, and had my daughter that I'm raising. And my second wife and I had quite a, oh, what is the word I want to say? Adventurous, um, bombastically exciting relationship. We ended up,
I like that, bombastically exciting. Yeah.
yeah, we traveled everywhere.
Mm,
We moved to Hawaii. We moved to Chicago, to Orlando, to Mexico, everywhere. We opened up uh, multiple studios and production companies. Um, Owned a record label. Started a record label.
mm,
Started multiple other production companies. Started music festivals, and we ended up being hosts on a television show. The two of us, but our relationship was it was absolutely wonderful and incredible and exciting, but we were toxic with each other.
yeah.
it
Yeah.
was just it was just toxic.
Mm,
And she had some mental issues that were very difficult to deal with. And the one of the biggest one of the biggest trials of my life was learning how to deal with that. She had something. She was a borderline personality disorder.
a hard one.
She had
Mm.
oh, there was two other things, but then there was one very specifically that had control over her,
Not
and
dissociative.
it's called PMDD.
Okay.
Um, it's premenstrual dysphoria disorder.
Okay.
It's not known very much. There are not many doctors that even know about it.
Wow.
PMDD. And basically, what it is, and I'm a feminist. I'm a woman. I literally go out of my way to
Mm,
support and try to progress women's rights, and do everything that I can to march right alongside women.
Mm.
But this one, so I can kind of speak of this to maybe help other guys or women
Yeah.
understand this, because I
Please.
studied it for a decade.
Yeah.
PMDD, basically, you know the hormonal change that you go through as a woman when you're going through PMS. Some women are extremely, they get mood swings, they get angry, pissy, everything, or some women, they're just totally cool with it. I mean,
Mm.
it's like nothing really
Yeah.
changes. But imagine having, you go through your menstrual cycle, a week of kind of being a little bitchy or whatever. PMDD basically takes that 1 week out of a month and turns it to 3 weeks out of the month, and you only have 1 week of
Wow.
calm. And what happened is, after years and years, she would like apologize in that 1 week when she was herself. She would
Mm.
be like, I know what I did to you. I know that I said this to you. I've got to apologize. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean any of that. But then it would go right back
Yeah.
to, so for 3 weeks out of the month, she would be a nightmare to deal with her family understood this too. We tried medication. She wouldn't want to do any medications. We did therapy. We did all sorts of different things. But the thing is like, once you're in that 3 weeks of PMDD, your greatest fears um are reality to you. So for her,
Oh.
every single day I was cheating on any girl that I ever met. The coffee barista, or the telephone, the cell phone person I talked to about our bill, or like, I know that you're finding them in Texas. Did you go and cheat on me with this person? And I don't even know who this is. Like, what do you? They just, every one of her greatest fears,
Mm.
um, was was not just a reality to her during that time, like, meaning tangibly real.
Mm.
It was way farther than that. And so she took action. But then as she's coming out of that, she's realizing, what did I do? What did I say? And then just for the whole week, spent the whole week just apologizing. But she
Mm.
would come to my jobs. She would come and scream outside the windows, yelling at me. And my boss would be like, "Is that your wife out there?" "Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." She does this, but that would be like a day.
Mm.
I was fired from, I don't know, 10, 15 jobs during that time period. I couldn't hold. It got really, really, really bad.
Mm.
Um, and she would get help for just a short amount of time and then just stop. And then short amount of time and then stop. And she would try this pill for just a short amount of time. Oh, but I'm gaining weight on it, and then stop. And
Mm.
her family and my family and our daughter and everybody, we could see the difference, and see her come back to herself when she would try these things. But there's always something that she didn't like about it, and so she would get off or stop doing it.
Yeah.
And we never got it under control.
Mm.
um and we ended up divorcing. But I was always there to, we co-parented my daughter,
Mm.
um and she ended up remarrying. And then that was she was not happy um with that. And after a few years, and I ended up remarrying my third wife, and my angel, oh, my rock.
Congratulations.
um and we were co-parenting her and her new husband and me and my new wife
Yeah.
for a few years. And then
Which is not always easy either. That in itself brings its own challenges, you know?
it did.
Yeah.
There were ups and downs. Um, but overall it worked out pretty well. But
Mm.
then I didn't actually see all of the PMDD that was still happening. And I kind of felt bad for her new husband and tried to coach him along the lines of what I learned when I was with her and how he can help her. It's a new person in her life, and maybe he can help with some of the information that I learned. And
Mm.
um, apparently that wasn't happening because I got a call one day, and I was at work, and she called me, and she was frantically upset, like she gets, and she said, uh, I need Crow, my daughter, um, to come live with you. Um, she had just been evicted from her home with her new husband. She said, I need Crow to come live with you. I'm going to have to start living in my car, and I'm divorcing my husband. I can't be with him. You're gonna need to take care of Crow. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. What can I do to help? Can I do it? Nothing. You just need to take care of Crow. And I'm like, that absolutely, Heidi and I would be completely happy to do that. And if we can do anything for it. And the next morning, I get a call from my daughter, um, and she's like, Dad, the police are here. I think Mom just tried to kill herself.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on? And she's, I don't know. The police are keeping me away from her, and I don't know. She's all blue, and I'm like, okay, hold on, and I grab my phone, and I'm like, and I do a three-way call with my wife, and I'm like, Heidi, you need to go pick her up right now. Go get her right now. And I'm like, and I kind of say the police are over there. I don't know exactly what's going on, and then I'm back on the phone with my daughter, and I try to talk, and the police grab the phone and start talking to me, and I'm like, what's going on? What? Um, so my daughter had she, she had just started to come out, LGBTQ, and my wife and I, we wanted to be very supportive of her.
Hmm.
And we gave her a pride flag for her birthday. Um, well, apparently my ex-wife used that pride flag to hang herself, and my daughter found her hanging from the pride flag, and
Mateo, sorry, did she live or did she pass?
she passed later that day.
I'm so sorry.
It was really hard,
Devastating. Oh my gosh.
and my my wife always she always wanted to be a mom, but we had decided not to have kids. We were just getting a little old.
Mm.
But she didn't want to be a mom this way
Mm.
because she became a full-time mother that day.
Wow.
And so we didn't have any warning, any clue.
Mm.
We all knew that she was always up and down and constantly creating these problematic situations around her. So whatever was, whatever pushed her to the edge in order to do this, we didn't see that coming because it was all normal.
Yeah.
All of her actions just seemed normal.
Mm.
All of her the mental issues that she was constantly going through, we didn't see an escalation.
Yeah.
And it was just out of the blue, without warning, and then she's gone.
Mm.
And it all kind of stemmed because she the last straw on her side, I think, was when she found out that she was getting evicted from her house.
Yeah.
And she just felt like, that's it, I can't do this. I don't know. I mean, there was there was no anything there. And that's one of the hardest things, is there are so many questions that my
Mm.
daughter, that Heidi, my wife, that
Mm.
all of her family, like, there's so many questions that we will never ever have answered. We will never get answers to these questions that we have. And coming to grips with that, knowing that you'll never get those answers,
Mm.
that's one of the hardest things. Because her and I, we'd known each other for well over 20 years. We're married for 10. We'd done so much together, and I knew her so well. We were always going to still be friends for life. And I lost my co-parent,
Mm.
and that we're still getting. That was only 3 years ago.
Mm.
I think this year will be 3 years.
Yeah. You know, Mateo, I might have to get up in a minute and just get my little one.
Yeah.
She's getting a bit irritable. We are in such a very deep conversation here. I wanted to say something to you on this. You know, part of what brought me to offer this and to do this is because of the amount of ongoing trauma I've had in my own life. And my little sister, her mum committed suicide when she was 6 months old. She shot herself.
Man.
And my sister now is 24. And, you know, she's a hard worker, all those sorts of things. But her life has not been easy. And I don't think that, you know, never mind if you do have two parents, your life is not easy anyway. Every
Right.
person's life is challenging. But I think when something like that happens, and I mean, being 6 months, you know, she's never known her mum. So she's known pictures and what her mum was like. And her mum also had a lot of stuff going on. God rest her soul. Beautiful person. But their life is never quite the same. And I think
No.
what is so important is encouraging that togetherness and that taking time to live in their memory and know that every day somehow, whether whatever a person's beliefs are, but they are there walking with you. But I definitely see the devastation that follows on from that. And then watching my father be a single parent, and he has, God love him, he has many wounds, and you know, he's made his mistakes in that. But I think that trying to be a father, a single father, and maneuvering that through life, and then meeting a woman, and I suppose he kind of rushed into marriage because he needed someone for her.
And that happens a lot.
Yeah, it's just so hard. And at the time, I was really young. I didn't see that. It's only now hindsight. But I think that you guys, you and your wife now, and the way that things happen, you know, and like you said, she became a mother that day, and how life has changed. But just from hearing you, I think that at the same time as well, your daughter is so lucky to have this type of support, you know, and to know that she's not alone. and it's inspiring to have you here sharing this vulnerability. Can I just say that? Like,
Thank you.
yeah, and for anyone watching this, I'm really trying to keep myself, because number one, I'm connecting to your story for my sister too. So I'm kind of trying to hold myself back at the moment. But yeah, the strength
Yeah.
it takes from all sides, all
We,
sides.
my wife and I, we changed our life after that. I mean, we used to go out on dates. We used, I mean, we met at the club. We used to go play pool, billiards. I mean, but as soon as that happened, our lives changed entirely,
Mm,
and our 100% focus is our daughter.
mm,
We don't do anything for us anymore. I took off a year of work or more, just stopped so that I could focus on my daughter. She went catatonic. She she went she stopped being able to speak. She was in inpatient rehab and then outpatient rehab, and then for like half a year, and then I mean, our whole lives are focused on helping her
yeah.
somehow come out of this tragedy.
Yeah, and I mean, from her
Excuse
point of
me.
view, how, I don't know how. So I only say this because from this perspective of things, when I was a drug addict, I found one of my friends. Well, he was dying, and I tried to save his life, and he ended up dying. And I witnessed that, and I witnessed what you were just saying before about going blue, and but this is not about me today, but I can just imagine what it must be for a child to find their parent. Let's just be really real. And once again, guys, whoever's watching this, please, if this triggers you, if you're feeling like you can't, please just stop watching and go and do, what you might need to do. Get a support, ring a helpline. We definitely don't want to have any more of these causations, but this is the real truth of things, is having that devastation to see something like that. You think about soldiers that go off and have to go and fight wars, and the things that they see and how that affects them in PTSD. Having someone like a child commit suicide or a parent commit suicide and finding them, that is something that I believe is irreparable. You don't fix that.
No,
And this is
there's
what all of this, sorry, Mateo, this is what all of this is about, is people who carry stigma and say things like, oh, mental illness and all this sort of stuff. Far out. There's one way to get me so passionate and fired up, because people carry around these words and they have no idea. When someone has to be taken into care, I've spent time in a psych ward. Let me tell you something, that there happens because something in the mind cannot cope at that time with the extreme trauma. The brain does not know how to work through that. It is too much.
no.
So please give your daughter a hug from me, especially when you see her next, because truly, like, there is strength in that. She is making her way every single day. Yeah.
I agree. She's
Yeah.
such a resilient, such a strong girl.
Mm.
And I don't want to say because of this, because she was before, but
Yeah,
what
100%.
what this what you have to do to work through this, and then
Mm.
keep on trucking through life.
Yeah,
You have to become stronger,
you do.
and she's just amazing to me. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still incredibly hard for her, for all of us.
Yeah.
um but I'm blown away by what my daughter has been able to, where she is now from where she was 2 years ago is night and day.
Yeah.
And her resiliency just blows my mind.
Mm.
And but I know what she's hiding. I know
Yeah.
that pain in her, and that never goes away.
No.
And I'll never see all of it. I'll never understand all of it either. So I will give her a hug. She needs all the hugs that she can get.
Please,
She
yeah.
really does.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
man. But do
Brother,
you need to go?
just give me
Oh,
one moment. I'm just
yeah.
going to grab up the girl and I'll come back. I also just want to
Absolutely.
talk about, yeah, give me a sec.
Ow. Oh. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. Oh. Oh, and I'm going to put on a pop filter. Ow. Sorry about that. I know that was loud. Oh,
We are
how
back.
wonderful.
She's been so patient.
Oh, how wonderful. Hi.
This is Ellie's.
Hi, Ellie.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Can you see me? Oh my goodness, she's beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. Love her very, very much. Certainly our blessing, but it's funny how once again, hindsight, things change your life, and you see how every experience leads you to a place.
It
And
certainly does.
if you so choose, it can be so much better than, the places that we sometimes find ourselves. So tell me, you're currently waiting to go into surgery, right?
I am. Ow. So that story. Ow. Oh, excuse me. That situation it kind of leads into kind of the surgery. And this is a tough one. So I told you earlier that this last thing is it tested my resilience, tested my ability to be happy, to find the good in everything. So my wife, can you hear me? Yeah. This is still good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I said that I've been living with my wife for 8 years or so, I think. So we were living in my wife's childhood home, that she grew up in, and she'd moved away a couple of times when I'm her second husband.
Yeah.
But how did so she had moved back into her childhood home, and I think she had been there for 16, 17 years. And her mother owns that home. Well, after my ex-wife passed, and we are full-time parents with Crow, my daughter. For some reason, my wife and her mother's relationship went sour, and I don't. There's some details in that, but they had not had the same type of. They had been really really good mother-daughter friends and stuff, but after my ex-wife passed, things changed, and we still don't know exactly why. And so my my wife hadn't really talked to her mom for for some time. I mean, ever so often, but never like it used to be.
Yeah.
And they got in some sort of fight. I'll leave out some of the details, but they got in a fight, and okay, but well, before that fight, we had just been we had begged her mom. We didn't own the home. Her mom owned the home. And we had begged them to kind of fix some things around the house, like the AC unit. But one of the big things that was an issue was we had a back deck on the home, and the back deck was falling apart. And we'd begged her to fix that because it was. We told her it's getting dangerous. Somebody's going to get hurt on this deck. To no avail. We had asked her to fix it for about 3 years. Well, come this last Mother's Day.
So not long ago either.
Not long ago. I was standing on the deck.
Oh God.
Yeah, it collapsed while I was standing on it. And so, again, a compression fracture on my back. So it dropped a good 3-4 feet, and it just destroyed 3 vertebrae in my lower back. Just completely just crumpled them to the. And as soon as her mom found out that I had gotten injured on the deck that she failed to fix, and that I had broken my back, well, it was my daughter that actually opened the front door and found the eviction notice.
Oh, yeah.
The same thing that caused her mom to take her own life.
I can imagine the trigger in that, 100%. Yeah.
So we tried desperately to talk to the mom and be like, can you at least, I mean, this fine, we'll leave, but I mean, I've just broken my back. I don't have I can't move anything. I can barely even walk. And I'm about to have surgery. I've already had like a few surgeries, but she's like, nope, I don't care. Get out. And we like in a way that was so crass and so but it didn't even make sense. There was no humanity in it. We had lived there. My studio was there. I had built out this incredible space inside the home. We had put so much time and attention and into the home, except for the thing, because we have no equity in that home, and so we couldn't drop like $20,000 on a home to rebuild the deck. But that was our home, and it was my wife's childhood home, and she didn't care. Her only response is, I don't care. But Mateo broke his back and needs to go to surgery. You want us out like literally 2 days after he has surgery? I don't care. How are we going to do this? We don't have any place to live. I don't care. I don't care.
And there is nothing worse than being in that vulnerability of not knowing where you're going next. Never mind the responsibilities that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she wanted us out in 2 weeks. And in this area, we have a housing crisis right now. There's not enough homes in the area anyways. And so we frantically tried to look for a place while I am in so much pain. Like I'm literally living my entire day with tears in my eyes, just screaming. and literally screaming, and we can't find anything and any place to live, or yeah, sure, there's a few places if I wanted to somehow figure out how I could pull, I don't know, $800,000 out of my asshole. I
Yeah,
mean,
correct.
it just none of it made sense. We didn't have the ability to even renting apartments were out of our price range. There's nothing for us three to
Yeah.
go to but she just didn't care at all. And so we've had to we had to just somehow pull together friends and to help us sell things. We sold half of our possessions, um, and then just got rid of even a lot more. And do you know who decided to pull us in, to let them live with them?
Who? Huh?
Um, my my deceased my daughter's mom's parents.
Like, really?
We're living in their basement right now.
Oh my God.
It's
Sorry, there one
no,
sec.
it's fine.
I,
I understand the feedback.
um,
Yeah. So some somehow